What's up, guys? It's Professor Oak. This is Experience Share. Did I sound like a robot? I really tried to sound like a robot. This is Experience Share. This is the series where I break down my experiences and share what I've learned from them. So this week's topic is invasions. We did duels last time, and I had a few requests for this. The topics I'm going to cover, first and foremost, is what is an invasion? Second, we've got equipment and inventory. Sorry, I have a little bit of a speech impediment. This has been great therapy for me. Weapons. And then at the end, I'm going to do something else if you were requested. I'm going to go over, or rather go through, an invasion from start to beginning, break down the invasion, sort of like a play-by-play, let you guys know why I was making certain decisions and where I made mistakes and what I did well. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of how an actual invasion goes, frame by frame. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump into it. So what is an invasion? So think like Dead by Daylight, right? It's going to be asymmetrical gameplay. If you haven't played Dead by Daylight, what about the clone Friday the 13th that was essentially just Dead by Daylight? Not that either? Okay, well this is like those games, but actually very fun. And I'm going to say that this is my favorite thing in the entire Souls series. This is basically the identity of Souls and Elden Ring and these games to me. So what it is. In this game, you do a little quest line for a man named Var, and he either rips off your fingernail or gives you some new finger or something weird, and that allows you to choose to invade people. And when you invade people, you're going to enter their world. And there's only a few ways that you're able to enter their world, two to be specific. One is if they have summoned help from a furled finger cooperator, and that's going to be this yellow guy you see running around in the background there. Or if they have used the Taunter's Tongue item, which opens invasions whether you have help summoned or not. Once one of those two qualifications are met, and you hit your tongue finger item, your bloody finger item, or alternatively, there's a rescuant finger that you get later on in the game from Volcano Manor. Once you hit either of those items, you're going to invade. And you're going to invade people within, I believe it's 7 levels higher or lower than you, with weapons 3 levels higher or lower than you, and when it's somber weapons, I believe it's 2 levels higher or lower than you. There is basically a calculator online that you can use that I'll link in the description, and you better throw me a like and a sub for all that extra work. JK, but not on the fucking like and sub thing. You do that now. I'm gonna sit here in silence for like 3 seconds and give you time. Okay, so you liked and subbed. So yeah, once you use one of those items, and you've went to the calculator, and you figured out what levels you can invade, you're gonna enter a world with a host that is around those levels. But here's the kicker. Those furled fingers we talked about, due to password summoning in Elden Ring, they may not be anywhere within those levels. You could be invading at level 20 and fighting a level 7-13 max character. It's just the nature of the game. Now Elden Ring does incorporate some scaling. They'll take down their health bar, their stamina bar, and their FP bar a little bit, just to make it a little quote-unquote fair. But the big thing here is they're still going to have all those weapons, they're still going to have all of that weight so that they can have high poise and maximum like size weapons like a greatsword or something. So it's going to be a little unfair most of the time for you as an invader. And now that's not all bad things. What that does is that gives us the moral ability to use the most broken shit in the game. My opinion, but that's just exactly what it is. As you can see here, the character I'm using has 100 poise. Nothing these people are hitting me with is really gonna stagger me. I am using dual great spear with Royal Knight Resolve, which does massive damage, as you saw from that jumping attack seconds ago. This is just a beautiful game mode, and that's gonna lead me right into, so what should you be bringing with you into this beautiful game mode? What sort of equipment and inventory do you need? So I'm going to tell you to bring your boluses. All of them. Bring all your boluses. Do you know what's really popular now that they nerfed Rivers of Blood? Dual Vike Spear. Do you know what's always been really popular? Dual Naginata. Do you know what people kinda sleep on, quote unquote? Saint Trina's swords. So you know what you want? Boluses. They also make items called talismans in this game. And I don't know how you're using them, but I have one slot that I switch between a lot. I've got the Ritual Shield Talisman in there until I take a hit, and then it's pretty much just becomes a free slot. I like to put those horn charms in there when I'm going against status builds. Seems to help a lot. And if you get a second and you can get away from the people that you're fighting, a lot of times you can kind of switch over to that Crimson Seed Talisman before you hit your flask, just to make the most out of every drop of that sweet red liquid. A lot of good talismans. Blessed Dew Talisman, also very good for invasions. What other items could we bring to make this easier? Fire pots. The gravity and the crystal fan chunk things. Anything that you can throw at people to annoy people. You're about to see in this clip that I check my screen real quick, like what can I throw at these people that are stuck up in this room. Sometimes it's going to be better to annoy people into reacting to you than it is to just charge forth and try to fight them. Especially if they're in a choke point or in a room that is just kind of not the best environment for a fight, and they're trying to bait you into coming to them. Don't fall for it. Bait them. Throw some shit. There's plenty of stuff that you can make out of dinosaur bones and elf ears that you found out in the wild. Function a little bomb and toss it at their head. But yeah, that's what I think you should be bringing with you on these invasions. You could also be using stuff like the host trick mirror and things, but I just don't really vibe with giving up my talisman slot that I like to use for so many useful things, you know what I mean? But yeah, and as far as weapons go, I know I said I'd talk about weapons, but we're gonna keep that real brief. So, we all know what's good and bad in Elden Ring. We all know that, setups like I'm rocking, like a dual great spear, or a colossal sword, or a, something high damaging with some burst damage like dual straight swords. Those are really good for invasions. But I think your Ash of War selection is going to be most important. Royal Knight Resolve for busting great shields. Flaming Strike for grabbing those ganks and getting them all in one good swipe if you can get the angle. Things like that are just going to be way more important than the actual weapon when it comes to an invasion. But, as you can see, sometimes the odds are just not going to be in your favor. But, you know, c'est la vie. Let's move into a full invasion breakdown. Alright, so this invasion went a little weird for me. I thought I had to use my brain a few times, so maybe this would be a good one to sort of break down. But the first thing we do, we gotta find these guys, this guy, whoever this is, find out who we're here to kill. I'm kind of looking around, mostly using the compass, and I see that they're this way. Homie's on the ladder. I kind of slow down. I start to think, alright, if he's going up the ladder, are there people above the ladder? And then I see this guy. No, the host is behind him. So unless there are 3 people, they're both heading up now. I switch over to my bow and arrow. Don't have any arrows equipped, so I wasn't completely prepared for this invasion. That's the first lesson you can learn from this. Be a little more prepared than I was. So I had these magic arrows. I could have swapped to something with maybe some status buildup. Would have been way more effective there. But I was using what I could in the time that I could. And I've now got some meteorites being thrown down on me. My goal here is to get an angle where I can see what's being thrown at me. But I also have enough space to like go through my inventory, decide how I want to approach this. The big reason that I'm not just going to the ladder and climbing up is because they're both mages. At this point, I've seen both of them use something that implied to me that it was an intelligence build. So I didn't want to go up there and be faced with like being Comet-Azored to my face. But I also just saw something fall down from the top, so I kind of stopped for a second to see if that was another furled finger, or if that was the host falling to his death, or what happened. But yeah, at this point I do switch over to some poison arrows, and I know I'm not going to hit most of these shots because like it's a bow and arrow. I'm slow and I'm far away. But the point is to just kind of be fighting back, not let them get too much time to rest and recover and think of how to deal with me before I think of how I want to deal with them. And I think that at this point I've decided that I'm just going to try to whittle down their health and maybe run them out of supplies. Yeah, at this point that was my big goal. I just wanted to kind of, you know, mess with these guys. And that's another tip I'd give you. This game is for fun at the end of the day. And when you're invading, have as much fun with it as you can. This, to me, was kind of like, you know, they had the high ground. If I climb up that ladder, as I'm coming up this ladder, I'm gonna just be dunked on, right in my face. So what options do I have, you know? Assuming that they're skilled players, what options do I really have? I'm 2v1 down on the low ground, so I'm chilling, playing with it. Let's see what happens. Shoot some poison arrows. Worst case scenario, you know, I don't hit many arrows, but I'm also not feeling too threatened by their slow spells from this distance. So, I think that at this point, If I had had the jar cannon, I'd be doing a lot more damage. I'd be more of a threat from this area, and my build definitely can fit the jar cannon on it. I think that if I had like just any sort of bombs, I think I did try bombs. Maybe we've already missed that, or maybe I just knew that the range and the arc that the bombs fly at wouldn't have been too optimal for this. At this point, also, I do see that the other guy is shooting arrows at me too, but I think that he doesn't have a good enough angle to hit me. Oh, I got hit there. Yeah. So this is where I think we're gonna switch over to Thunderbolt, if I'm able to find it. I've switched Thunderbolt off of my dagger to my S stock, and I had a little hard time finding it. But this was interesting. I'm actually target locked onto the host, trying to get a Thunderbolt to kind of hit over that, and we do get one. Pretty sure that this triggers some more meteorites to come at me. Yeah. So what I want to do is run them out of FP at this point. If I can get up there, I'm not too afraid of mages hitting me with physical damage, because if they're highly spec'd into intelligence, I mean, their magic weapon is going to do damage, but I'm just not as afraid of going into them with melee combat. I am personally a little bit better at melee combat than I am at dealing with mages and spells, so I really want these spells and the likelihood of me being like, trapped into one person fighting me and the other person just mashing or spamming rather a Moonveil cast at me or a Duelist Moonblade or just more of these meteorites. I wanted that chance to be pretty low. So I'm kind of just waiting this out, letting them throw as many at me as possible. I am not rolling the best, but this isn't the best environment either. Just to give myself a little credit. Right here I'm getting pretty low health. I've taken a few too many meteorites from rolling poorly. But we're still hoping that they're pretty low on on FP rather. They're shooting a lot less common, or a lot less frequently, which is a sign that they're slowing down on the FP consumption, realizing, oh shit, I'm running out of this. He's only taken like 1 health bar worth of damage. We've both healed a couple times. This doesn't look good. So I wasn't able to get him with the Thunderbolt, and at this point I decided that since they're no longer casting meteorites consistently on my head, they're likely out of FP. I'm going to try to get an angle, shoot them a couple more times, maybe if they feel threatened. No, I think I decided to just go on up this ladder. Yeah, and then we see the Hail Mary. Yeah, this is basically him saying I only have a couple bars of FP left and this is what I know kills people. So we get out of the way of that, and we know it's time for us to climb this ladder. While going up this ladder, I was afraid that this was all a ruse and I'm going to get another Dragon Breath once I get up here. But I'm feeling pretty confident. Feeling like if these guys were so afraid that they hid in this tower for the past 5 minutes, just throwing things at me, that maybe they're not the most confident in their melee skills. So we get up here to the top of the ladder. You always want to peek, see what you're getting yourself into, and as you can see, they're preparing for exactly what I knew would happen the second that I get up this ladder. Why would they not just, try to gank me, try to just double team whack me? I see that this guy pulls out a bow, and I'm at no way afraid of a bow in close quarters, so that was my call to just, okay, you can come up now. I almost fucked up and just rolled down that hole, but we were able to stop the Rot Breath cast. We were able to get rid of the Phantom. We now have the host 1v1, and that's all she wrote. That's a breakdown. This has been Experience Share. Smell you later.